Hello, excuse me, my name is John Burns, and I've been with Villa Sedena since the very beginning. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Norris, who has been instrumental in the foundation of Villa Sedena. In the late 1970s and early 80s, you were the chief financial officer of Johnson & Johnson. And through some almost accidental meeting, we got in a conversation, and you said that I think our corporation, Johnson & Johnson, would like a treatment center for our employees here. And I remember you gave me a little piece of paper with the phone number, and that began Villa Sedena. That was the first time that that caused everything that you remember that incident very, very well. Okay. Then one of the gentlemen who was very involved with Johnson & Johnson was their employee assistant program director. Was it Tom Dempsey? I may have that name wrong.
Yes, you have it. It was.
We'll think of it in a minute.
I had it right away when I read it. I saw it was wrong. Tom Desmond.
Tom Desmond, of course, yeah. And then Tom was from the head office of Johnson & Johnson in New Brunswick. And somehow you brought him into it. How did that work?
Well, in the late 70s, J&J in the States started this employees assistance program. And they took on, it was an assistance program, but with mainly looking for alcoholics and drug addicts within the company. And they took on one of the leading experts at the time, who was Tom Desmond. And all the subsidiaries, including J&J Brazil, were told of what was going on, and we could have sent our people up there if we wanted to. And I was up there and ran into Tom Desmond, and I told him that we had nothing formal in Brazil at all in this way. So he came down and talked to the people, and we set up an employees assistance program here. But it was based mainly on what the personnel department could do with our social workers. And I think there were one or two rehab centers, but nothing very good that we could send people to.
Yeah.
And then I ran into you, and you were so enthusiastic about your ideas of setting one up that I went back to our board and said, look, I think to improve our employee assistance program here, we should seriously think of setting this thing up for the rehab center as described by John Burns. So this went on, and then you did call back. We actually discussed whether we shouldn't set up one of our own and perhaps employ you to run it. And then we thought, well, that isn't J&J's business. And so when we got in touch, that's when we decided to go ahead with it and formalize our own employee assistance program here in Brazil.
Yeah.
And there were one or two people that got very enthusiastic. In São José dos Campos, it was Isabel Polu, who really bought the thing in a big way. And there was a fellow in the personnel department here, whose name I can't remember. He wasn't with us for very long. So they helped us plan this, what we wanted to do, and then we discussed it with you. And at that time, I believe you remember that we lent you $50,000 to train your people. And incidentally, I don't think we ever got the $50,000 back.
Well, I think we provided it in treatment. If I did,
Yeah,
probably didn't get it back. No.
Probably. And then when you rented your space in Rio, our office manager in São Paulo, was very enthusiastic, a chap called Guzmão, I forget
That's
his
right.
first name, but his second name was Guzmão. And he actually got some of our maintenance employees from the office and sent them down to Rio to help you
Yes.
refurbish the place. And he also made sure that any extra furniture that we might have was also sent down there to furnish the place.
And we have furniture to this day from the Johnson Refectory.
That's right, we changed all the furniture, and I think you got most of it.
There was a moment here in that story when I was working at that time with a group of attorneys in Rio.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah, and we had discussed about, they were offering to lend some money for this, and Johnson & Johnson was, and I was trying to work that together. And you and I were in Rio at this person's home.
I
at
went
their
down
hospital.
especially for that day, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
And so we were having a nice churrasco there and this whole thing. And my friend came up and said, unfortunately, I don't have the funds to do this. And that was a very critical moment in the program. And you saved that. You remember that?
Yes, oh yes.
And I remember you got on the phone right then and there and made some arrangements and got,
Yeah, that's what got it going, really. Yeah.
that's what's really got it going, yeah. Because Tom Desmond was there too, and we were all discussing
Yeah.
back and forth, running from room to room, and finally you said, get me the phone, and you got the phone. Who you spoke to, but it happened. It happened. And so that was a key point there. But one of the things that was important that Tom Desmond recommended is that we base it on the Minnesota model of Hazelden.
That's right.
And
He was very keen on Hazelden.
yeah, and that was the best move ever. Because we sent people up there and we established a good relationship with Hazelden over the years, which in a way continues. They fuse now with the Betty Ford Center.
Uh-huh.
Betty Ford and Hazelden are all together. And then, as you mentioned, our first patients came from
San Jose dos
San
Campos
Jose
plant.
dos Campos, yeah. And we were forever going back and forth. The bus station, getting the bus from San Jose dos Campos, bringing the first patients in there. Now, there's another contribution. Johnson & Johnson made a lot of contributions over the years to Villa Serena. In
Yes,
administration and equipment. You yourself was very fundamental in the early years on in providing the administration assistance that we needed.
I was just a damn nuisance at times.
We made it work. Oh, yes. For a long time, you give me a call every Friday at 3 o'clock and say, John,
Why?
how's the cash flow look? And by the way, yeah. Well, we do treatment. We're not really good administrative people, and we're still struggling.
But that's a long time ago. That's 30 years ago now.
That's 30 years ago,
over
Michael.
30
That's
years.
still,
It's still working.
it's still working. It's still very much working. As a matter of fact, the 5 Villa Serenas that we have today are about the only centers left.
Is that so?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
in Sao Paulo, Salvador, Fortaleza,
Oh, congratulations, you
that
did the right
that
thing.
do a
Mhm.
12-step model simply because it's easier for them to medicate.
Yes.
Then your margin goes up because you reduce your personnel
That's right,
by half.
yeah.
But what I wanted to get to, is there something that you worked with your personnel department at Johnson & Johnson that introduced us to other corporations?
I think
We had a slideshow that you made.
Yes, I think we did that through the social workers. They all met periodically.
Yeah.
And we asked them to pass this on to the other companies, but we must have gone a little bit more senior
Oh,
than
you
that at
did?
some stage, but I can't remember.
Head of Human
exactly.
Resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caterpillar was
GM.
very active at the beginning.
Yes, and they still are.
Avon,
Avon is still very active. Monsanto, General Motors, Dow, among others. Those programs started back then, and the programs and corporations sort of come and go.
yes.
Sort of come and go or over the years. But those grew out of the context that you fundamentally made for us early on.
Yeah, I
in
think
those
it was
years.
through personnel, and we also had a group of finance directors that met periodically.
That's
And I
right.
think that may have been one of the
Oh, yes, I
the
remember
ways in
that.
too.
Yeah. We
We used to meet once a month, so it could easily be that.
And I remember you took me one time.
That's right,
and
to
we
make
said we
an
made a little
explanation,
presentation
yes.
about what we did and so
We
forth.
periodically would take someone to make a presentation.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of a, that pretty well accounts the fact that your initial interest
Well, it
and,
was your enthusiasm, I think, that sparked the thing, really.
Well-
Just at the right moment when the EAP was being introduced here.
okay, but enthusiasm you can't take to the bank. And it was your helping us format that from an administrative point of view and the financial side of that we still struggle with today. But you'll be.
But you're still here to struggle, which is the important
Well,
thing.
Michael, the thing we're doing that's happening this year is a cash flow format that will be the same one for all the villas.
Good.
We finally arrived there. Because along with yourself, you know that Peter Rodenbeck of
Yes.
McDonald's and so forth has been active and so forth. He's the one that brought up the idea
Very good.
of the franchise. But I really wanted this moment to thank you and to recognize
Thank you very
who
much.
got this started. Is there anything else you'd think of, you could kind of comment on or want to add or so?
Not right off like that, no.
Okay, well, I think that has what we want done, and thank you very much
You're
for
very welcome.
coming out here. I know you don't like public speaking and be filmed, so it's kind of you to come out and do
You're very
this.
welcome.
We do appreciate it. Thank you very much.